that we are here this morning. So I would like to bow to God. I bow to my master, and I bow to all the masters of the Kriya Yoga lineage. And I like to bow to my teacher of Ayurveda, Dr. Monica Manjulali. It's by her grace that I have this path, this beautiful path of Ayurveda to follow in my life. So thank you very much. Today I will be giving a presentation on Ojas and Tejas. You can see this beautiful slide. I love this picture. Ojas and Tejas, the essence and the illumination of what? Of us. This is our subtle nature. This is the beginning of everything. So when the Pancha Mahabhutas are first formed, they're formed in their subtle natures first. The Pancha Mahabhuta are the 5 elements, and they're formed subtly first, and then they combine and condense to form our gross physical bodies, the Tridosha. But Ojas and Tejas are part of the subtle body, as well as the physical. We'll get into that. But they form the subtle body, which we have 3 bodies, the subtle, gross physical body, and also the causal body. And they're part of the Panchakosha, the 5 sheaths that make us up. These subtle bodies, these subtle aspects, these subtle natures, they have a great effect on our physical, mental, and spiritual well-being. So these are very powerful. When we study Ayurveda, when we study how to look at a person holistically, we have to take into account not just the physical forms that we're seeing, but the mental and the spiritual, the subtle body as well. And Ojas and Tejas form our magnetic energies and our physical health. So let's start with Ojas. I should have said the definitions, plural, of Ojas because it is more than just one definition. I love this quote by Dr. Svoboda, which says, Ojas is the essence of immune power, which creates a powerful aura which attracts others like flowers attract bees. I love that because I think we've all probably known somebody, and maybe even ourselves, who have this great energy, this strength and attractiveness that everybody wants to be around. This is Ojas, this is Tejas, this is our aura. These are the subtle forms of the Pancha Mahabhutas within us. So along with the head, the Charaka Samhita says Ojas is one of the 10 seats of vital breath. And it's along with the head, the throat, the heart, the navel, the anus, the bladder, semen, and the blood. So this is life. These things are vital to us. Ojas is a vital part of us. It can be translated literally as our natural immunity, vigor, a bala, which is strength, our resistance, our glow, our aura. It is the subtle force of tamas, which is one of the trigunas, the state of inertia, which is necessary for our stability. It keeps us grounded. And it is the lubricating nectar of life, lubricating like kapha, only on a more subtle level. It is the pure essence of kapha dosha, having the same qualities, mainly water. But it's also this biological substance made of albumin, globulin, gamma globulin, and contains hormones correlating to the liver, the endocrine, the muscular, the hemopatic, and the digestive systems of the body. These are all the immune systems. So Ojas is, in fact, in Western terms, the literal translation of our immune system, of our strength, our resistance to fight disease, and keep healthy. So it's the cumulative essence remaining after the saptadhatu are formed. This is one form of ojas. We'll get into the two forms of ojas here in a moment. The saptadhatu are the 7 bodily tissues. And ojas, on a holistic level, is the vessel for the transformative and flowing natures of tejas and prana. This is in every cell of our body, as well as the whole of our body and the whole of our subtle body. So this is the medium through which these other subtle natures, tejas and prana, can flow. So here are the gunas of ojas. It is guru, snigdam, which Atul says is not unctuous, it's rich, which I like that better as well. Shitam, Vishada, Mrudru, Pichalam, Maduram, sweet like honey. Sandram, the consistency of honey. Balam, that which spreads into the minute channels, which is important here in a minute. And it is described in both the Sushruta and the Charaka as the color of gold, red ghee, the taste of honey, and carries the smell of fried grain patties. So this is formed from the subtle aspects and condensed down and becomes, physical, gross part of us, as do the other Panchamahabhutas, as do all the Panchamahabhutas when we're forming. The two types of ojas are para ojas and apara ojas. Para ojas is the divine, and apara ojas is the denotes not divine. It is unrefined raw ojas. So from the heart, 10 great vessels carrying ojas pulsate all over the body. I love this imagery. It's like our strength emanating from our heart chakra. So Pada Ojas, from the divine, the superior Ojas, remains in the heart, maintaining our life activity. It's just by its saturation, it keeps us alive. It's the initial essence of the embryo. So when we're born, well, rather, when we're in utero, on the 4th month, the mother, we receive 8 bindu, which are 8 tiny drops of ojas from the mother, flowing from the umbilical cord into us, and those 8 bindu go to our heart, which the heart is the seat of excellent ojas, and they stay there. That's received at the 4th month, and then again at the 8th month, there's a free flow of ojas between mother and fetus through the umbilical cord. And in speaking with Manjalali about this, she reminded me what a divine, beautiful gift this is. It's karmic, This is a gift from God, a gift from what we're bringing with us into this life from other lives, from other times, from other decisions that we've made. And so it's a gift. Premature birth can cause a lot of problems in the flow of ojas if it's prior to the 8th month, and we would see possibly a baby with low ojas, which, babies with low immunity can have all sorts of problems. So that's something that is really important to try and carry the baby full term. There are, breastfeeding, and there are foods and other things you can do afterwards. Oh, I'm sorry, Monica's saying something on here, but I can't see. Right. So the placenta, the placenta is considered, would have a lot of the ojas from the mother in there. and these correlate, I guess, directly to stem cells. So that, the placental gift from the mother to the baby is very important. And Pada Ojas it's in the heart, and it is physical in that it gives us our strength, our physical immunity, but it's also subtle in that it is our awareness, our consciousness, our bliss. It is our soma. It creates soma, which can be described as serotonin in Western terms. Yes, karma of the mother, that's really a very good point, Kitty. Thank you for mentioning that. The karma of the mother, so when you're pregnant, when you're deciding to have a baby, really take into account the enormity of what you're doing. You're turning over your life, you're bringing a new soul into the world, and, taking care of yourself and the baby is the most important thing you can be doing. So that's very important. The karma, the way you care for yourself is passed on to the baby as well. So Apada Ojas is considered, not divine. It's the raw Ojas. It measures 1/2 Anjali, which is about half the amount of your cupped hands. And this is the result of perfect digestion after the Dhatu nourishment. So this is what I was saying in the previous slide about Ojas being the result of the end result of the Sapta Dhatu. Apada Ojas is mobile, and it moves throughout the body in the srotas. So it is the guna I was talking about with the balam. So it can get into all the minute channels. It's present in every cell of the body. Each dhatu has ojas, and this could be compared to the circulating antibodies from our B cells, which develop in the Majjadhatu, our bone marrow, and flow through the body, comprising our immunity and our resistance to disease, bacteria, environment, so on and so forth. And it spreads into the minute channels of our body. The Pada Ojas could be compared literally to the T cells found in the thymus, in the chest and thoracic region. So, it's the heart. Pada is in the heart, the seat of excellent Ojas, and the heart area, the thymus and thoracic chest area, is where our T cells come from, and then the B cells, which are antibodies, our circulating antibodies, can be compared to a Pada Ojas. So I hope that makes sense. Please feel free to ask if anything that I'm saying doesn't make sense. I know I have some doctors with me today, and I am not a doctor. I'm just an Ayurvedic practitioner. But Ojas, as well as being, subtle, karmic, divine gift, can also be compared directly to, Western medicine, and like I said, the immunity of the T cells and the B cells that flow through our body. So, let's see. Oh, I have a question here. How do you know? So it's going to be just like you were talking about in the previous lecture from Dr. Aparna. It's going to be, you're going to be assessing it through the overall assessment of a person, through their prakruti, through their vikruti. You're going to be asking about their mala. You're going to be once you know. Also, it is true that because Ojas is correlates more with Kapha dosha, and it has the same properties as Kapha dosha, that in general, Kapha Prakruti has a stronger Ojas than, say, Vata Prakruti, which is like the exact opposite of Kapha dosha. But everybody's Ojas is going to be compared, you know, you have to take into account their digestion, their stress level at work, their own daily practices and life, their karmic, what they're taking in from, you know, from past lives is also has to be taken into account. So when you see somebody overall, their health is going to be, in my opinion, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Monica, their health is going to be how you measure their Ojas. So that's where I would go with that. So let's see the next slide. I can move. Okay. So the next slide is going to be going into the creation of Ojas. From a physical standpoint, I'm just looking at this from Kitty here. If they get sick, easily stay sick long ago, Ojas is low. Sure. Yeah, so it's low immune system. So when you have a low immune system from a clinical standpoint, your inability to fight bacteria, seasonal changes, viruses in the air, your digestion is poor, you have, you know, emaciation sometimes, or diseases of diabetes and accumulation. So yeah, the inability to fight off infection, invading disease is low or poor Ojas. So the creation of Ojas, I picked, this is Mahadevi. She's the divine mother to all. So I thought she was nice to ponder when we're thinking about Ojas, as Ojas is kind of maybe the mother to our health and immunity. The creation of Ojas. Ojas is literally the cause and effect of good digestion. And this, you know, the cause and effect, so what we get karmically from the mother, from the divine, that is what will allow us to have a healthy, strong Ojas and physical, you know, digestion throughout our life. So it is literally the cause and effect of good digestion. It is the final product after the formation of the Saptadhatu, which I've already discussed. So just a quick introduction. I think Monica said that you haven't gone over the Saptadhatu yet. This is block 1. But Ahara Rasa is the digested food, the chyle after you've taken your food, and it goes through the entire digestive process from the mouth all the way through the stomach. And this is transformed into the Saptadhatu, the first dhatu being Rasa Dhatu, and Ojas, and each subsequent dhatu, there are 7 in total, are then in turn formed by the preceding dhatus and the Dhatu Agni. And the final dhatu is Shukra Dhatu. Shukra Dhatu is the reproductive fluids, and Ojas is the ultimate essence of the Shukra Dhatu. Some call it the Ojo Dhatu Sara, and it's also referred sometimes as Ashta Dhatu, which would be the 8th Dhatu. So Ojas is, from our digestion, from the Apara standpoint, this is the final essence of our digestion. And then also the creation of Ojas is transferred from mother to fetus gestationally at the 4th and 8th months. So when we're talking about digestion, I just want to touch really quickly on when we're digesting things, it isn't just food, right? So it's also the environment, the work, the relationships that we have, our daily routine, and our mental and emotional perceptions of life. So we need to take into consideration all of these things when we're talking about perfect digestion and how to build strong Ojas. So I hope Monica is answering all of your questions, because I'm just missing some of these chats. Going on with creation of Ojas. Again, it's the focus is on digestion here. You can create Ojas now with kapha and sattvic foods like ghee, milk, grains, beans, fresh vegetables, fruits, naturally sweet, ancestral foods, depending upon your ancestral background, are considered to be very Oja producing if they're healthy. But you have to be able to digest these things. So, you know, again, eating a bunch of heavy sweet foods, ghee, milk, and grains doesn't work unless you can digest it. So focusing on just making sure that your digestion is optimum is the best way to produce Ojas. Also, the full moon is a very Ojas promoting time, especially in women. This is our time of ovulation, vitality, and strength. So I would recommend people following the moon cycle. If you're studying Ayurveda, maybe you already are, and if you're not, you know, get yourself a lunar calendar and begin following the lunar cycle. You'll notice the changes within yourself as the moon waxes and wanes. It's a beautiful thing. We need to be in harmony with this universe and the nature and environment around us. We need to be aware of the seasons. All of these things keep us in harmony and balance spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically, and they promote and build Ojas within us, and they safeguard the Ojas that we carry with us, our Pada Ojas in the heart. So all of these things that we're taking in are both safeguarding and building more Ojas. So, so we need to try and take in only healthy, positive perceptions into the manasa. Yeah, so good sleep, meditation, right life, which is hitayu, our daily routine, our sadhana, our pranayama, the right associations, and the sensory perceptions we take into the mind, love, jivatman, the soul. These are all really, really, really tantamount to our health and our ability to stay healthy and deal with life and digest our food. We need to be trying to take in only healthy, positive perceptions into the manasa through our senses, through our sense perceptions, the tanmatra, our sound, touch, sight, taste, and smell. If we don't, this leads to imbalance of the subtle body and aspects, and this causes disease in our physical body as well as our subtle body. This is offense against wisdom, pragyana paradaha. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce that very well. So we need to try to love without attachment or expectation. We need to just accept what is in life, and we need to regularly go inside and visit our inner divinity. This is our soul, our Jivatman. These are really important practices. And we need to regularly take the measures which are conducive to the heart and ojas and the cleansing of the srotas, which are the channels of the body, and make efforts for the serenity of mind and knowledge. This is according to Charaka. So some of the functions of ojas are both gross and subtle. It is the sap of our life's energy. Its function is to maintain the quality and quantity of the Saptadhatu, the three malas, which are Sveda, Purusha, and Mudra, and the Tridoshas. Pada Ojas, in addition to its physical gifts to us, it also maintains our consciousness, our awareness, our ability to go inside. Ojas maintains our physical body, giving us strength and natural immunity, keeping us in our natural rhythms and the rhythms of the universe around us, and the environment around us. It safeguards our internal bodily function. So this is our immunity. This is our strength. It also gives us our cellular intelligence. So all of our cells, every cell has ojas, and it is maintained through tejas, ojas, and prana, this intelligence that our cells have that are working constantly within our bodies. It gives us our beautiful aura, our natural glow, and it is our soul nourishment. Here are some characteristics of a person with good ojas. Clear voice, well-formed, strong musculature, proper functioning of all the sensory, motor, and psychic functions, a bright, lustrous complexion, a bright, colorful aura and energy, physical, emotional, and spiritual health, body, mind, spirit, and longevity. So this is an interactive slide. Here's some possible imbalances that we may see with person with imbalances of ojas. So can you imagine, I'm going to ask you guys to answer some of these. Yeah, prajnapahara, yeah, that's right. Thank you, Monica. So somebody with vata prakruti has had cancer, but it's in remission, and they're now training for a marathon. Sounds crazy, but people do this, right? Oops. Can anybody tell me, you know, their cancer is in remission, so they had the ojas to beat the cancer. Maybe they had chemo as well. What state is their ojas in right now? And training for a marathon with vata prakruti, which is like the exact opposite of, has the exact opposite qualities of ojas. Can anybody venture a guess of what they're doing to their ojas with all of this? Yeah, right. So it's depleting ojas, and they may have a strong ojas. They may have strong karmic ojas, the pada ojas from the mother, which has helped them, you know, through the cancer. But boy, just keep going and training for a marathon, and you know, not trying to rebuild after you go through that is eventually going to be depleting even to pada ojas. And Dr. Laud talks about once you drain your pada ojas, that's in the heart, you know, building it back, the immune system, building that one back is, you know, you basically just are unhealthy after that. So another one would be, and you see this a lot, especially in our society. Yeah, people working while they're going through chemo, exactly. Chemo's, you know, chemo has its place, obviously, but it kills everything in us, right? So whatever immunity we have left after chemo is just by the grace of God and divinity. So we need to make sure and take care of ourselves after we go through chemo, if that ever happens. So another thing we see often in our society, especially maybe other places as well, is pregnant women wanting to stay thin and wanting to lose weight quickly after birth. So when you're pregnant, and now we know that we're passing Ojas to our baby while we're pregnant, you know, trying to stay thin by maybe, you know, eating foods that are not very Ojas producing, not very sattvic in nature, or running around a lot, or giving, you know, taxing our bodies is, that's going to be depleting to Ojas as well. And what kind of effect do we think that's going to have on the baby? Right, both. Mm-hmm. Yes, and the breast milk as well. So yeah, breast milk is another Ojas producing food and way for babies to get Ojas. So you know, the less Ojas you have, the less you have to pass on. You know, the lower quality. Those are both right. Yeah, the media is really so. And I'm not going to go into in this class the different disorders of Ojas, but yeah, there are disorders. There are, you know, low Ojas, high Ojas, and yeah. So the Pitta Prakriti man, sexual overindulgence. So we just talked about how Apata Ojas is the result of, you know, good digestion after the Sapta Dhatu are formed, and Shukra Dhatu. Shukra Dhatu is the, oh, for sure, postpartum depression, yes. Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness, Aparna. Yeah. Well, God bless you. So if Shukra Dhatu is the reproductive fluids and Ojas is the essence after the Shukra Dhatu is formed, somebody with a Pitta Prakriti that is indulging in, you know, too much sexual activity, this is probably going to have an effect on Ojas, the production of Ojas as well. And a woman, 47 years old, divorced, dating. So at 47, we're starting to go through or are in menopause. Divorce is very stressful, sad time period in people's lives. Dating is very stressful. And so this is going to have an effect on Ojas as well. This next one I call the typical American life: high-stress job, late nights, eating out, kids at home, mortgage, etc. Typical American life. What does this do to Ojas? You know, just the daily life of most of us over here is really can affect Ojas. We have to just hope that most people are born with a strong Pada Ojas, because, you know, building it and keeping it when you live the kind of life that so many people are living over here is not easy. And it's no wonder people get sick a lot and have, you know, poor digestive issues. I put lack of spirituality on here as well under imbalances of Ojas, because I deeply believe that, you know, the lack of connectivity to a spiritual path is you know, you can be born, you can be given a very strong ojas, you know, through karma, through the mother, gestationally. But if you don't spend your life, you know, following your dharma, following your spiritual path, serving others, serving God and gurus, then, you know, you are lacking in ojas producing. And so that's my belief. And then this last one is kind of a little bit on the opposite side, a kapha man with a computer job. So he's very sedentary. He watches a lot of TV. He eats a very heavy kapha diet, but not a healthy kapha diet. But he's got strong congenital ojas because he's kapha. So a lot of times kaphas have very strong ojas. But what does this do? When we have too much ojas, this isn't a good thing too. Can anybody, you know, think about what might happen with, you know, too much ojas producing activities, very tamasic life? So, you know, it creates other diseases as well. Oh, I'm missing all of these chats. I'm sorry. Obesity, heart disease. Yes. Okay, good. Yeah. So sorry, I was missing the chat. But yeah, flow of prana is reduced. That's all correct. Right. And the rasa dhatu is not mature. It is too much raw material that is not mature. Correct. Yeah. So, does anybody have any questions about any of this? I'll go on to the next slide. Excess kapha diseases. So there's, you know, there's depletion of ojas, and then there's accumulation of ojas, which is excess raw ojas is, you know, there's both of those, depleting and excess. I'm not going to go over these. So now we'll go to Tejas, unless anybody has any questions about ojas. Tejas is the illumination of our subtle and physical body. Tejas is the flame of life. So prana, tejas, and ojas unite, body, mind, and spirit. You can think of them as, you know, ojas kind of being the container, tejas being the agni, the fire, the transformative power, and prana being the flowing power of our subtle physical body. Tejas is the subtle essence of pitta dosha, so ojas is the subtle essence of kapha dosha, and tejas is the subtle essence of pitta dosha, the fire element within us. Tejas is our biological and cellular agni and intelligence. It is the subtle energy present in the bhutagni of the liver, so the bhutagni or is the elemental agni in the liver. And physically, it is our enzymes, hormones, and amino acids which govern cellular metabolism. Excuse me. It is the subtle fire of the manasa, the mind, the soul vibration. So this allows us to have discernment in the manasa and to digest our sensory perceptions. So when we're digesting, again, I'm not talking about just digesting food. I'm talking about digesting the tanmatra, the sensory perceptions that come into our life. So this is, again, talking about our environment, the decisions we're making, the associations we're making, our daily routines, as well as the food that we're taking in. And this is related to our inner powers of transformation. it is, you know, the force of transformation that propels us. The functions of Tejas are, it's the fire element in the body, the Deha Agni. It gives us strength, good health, longevity, complexion, muscle tone, luster, and without Tejas, there is no prana and ojas, so it gives us our oja and prana. Yeah, the halo, right, the halo around, the aura, the bright illuminating aura around very spiritual people and deities, yes. High Tejas burns ojas, low Tejas causes oja vrudi, which is what we were talking about with excess kapha diseases, the excess raw ojo. Tejas, one of the functions of Tejas is the formation of new tissues, the saptadhatu, the maintenance of proper amount of dosha, dhatu, srota, and mala. Yeah. A lot of Ojas and Tejas, yeah. That's beautiful. So, and it gives us our color. So Tejas gives us our color. It gives us discernment and distinction of the cellular intelligence, and it is the internal flame of life. Let's see here. Oh, this is Agni Deva. This is our deity of Agni. He's life-giving. Without Agni, there is no life. So we must be able to digest properly everything coming in, the food, perceptions, environment, etc. So Ojo Vrudi, Sandra, I'm not going to go over that in detail, but that's the excess ojas. That's the raw excess ojas from, you know, that we were talking about the kapha man might have. So when you have low Tejas, so Tejas is, if when you're talking about Oja, Teja, Prana, you're talking about Ojas being the container, Tejas being the transformative power, and Prana being the, you know, the flow. And if you have high Tejas, it burns through Ojas. If you have low Tejas, then it will cause, the Ojas will be raw, it won't be metabolized properly. And that's Ojo Vrudi. That's a very basic description. The characteristics of Tejas. So again, we have superior Tejas, which is located in the heart and the crown chakra, and this maintains our color, our complexion, and the luster of our skin. The luminosity of our aura, like Manjalali was just talking about with her master. This gives people their luminosity. Inferior Tejas moves throughout the body. It's again in every cell of our body. It transforms food into energy. The metabolic functions are, it has metabolic functions, digestion, assimilation, and absorption. And it gives us a bright, intelligent focus, lustrous eyes, shiny hair, warm skin, strong Agni, and a clear tongue. Oh, I loved this symbol. This is the Vata Pitta Kapha symbol, and this is just, to me, this is a reminder that the goal of Ayurveda is to remain in balance, in harmony with our inner universe and the outer environment. This is what leads to health and vitality, to energy, to the glow and contentment and wisdom that we are all searching for. So that's my presentation. Yes, thank you, Aparna. So I didn't go over the disorders of Ojas and Tejas. I guess that can be.
So I mean, like she said, if you can think of Ojas as more physical, it is the container. That's a really good example. And Tejas is what's inside it. And the actual movement of Tejas and the transformation in and out, and also prana is inside it. You can't see it, but it's there. So the disorders, think of the disorders as, now this is a bio-container, if you may. So it can grow in size. So if you do not have enough Ojas, that means the container has shrunk, so the Tejas and prana will automatically be affected. Does that make sense? In the disorders of the Ojas, the container is small or container is big. And I mean, I know this is such a, in Ayurveda we have these examples, like we have theories called the pigeon pecking theory, this and that. But to start off with how my teachers taught me, I mean, if you were, now all of you have made ghee. How is ghee made? We first, obviously, we have to have milk. From milk, we get butter. I mean, of course, you might have started from the butter. But in India, we make ghee. We actually buy whole milk. Then the cream rises on the top. We remove the cream. We churn it. We get the butter. Now, the butter, we heat on a low flame. And we remove the milk solids. And now we have the subtle essence of milk. Yes? Has everybody made butter? Has anyone made butter from milk ever? Yes, so Rekhaji, you have. This is starting from milk. And also in India, they will make butter from yogurt as well. So you can say ghee is a subtle essence of milk. And that's true, right? Similarly, we can say Ojas, think of Ojas as the ghee of, I know it's a funny example, of kapha. So Ojas is the subtlety of, because it has the same qualities like kapha dosha, the structure, the lubrication. Yes, so it's a subtleness of kapha. Now how I'm not going to talk about para Ojas that comes from the presence of divine and gift of God. Para actually means divine, as para Brahma and so on. I'll talk about apara. Apara is produced, now this is a total block 2 topic, so I'm not going to be answering questions that you'll all put up there because it's a block 2, but I will give you one example very quickly, a new whiteboard. So let's start with food, thought, breath. Can anybody tell me what food and thought and breath is? What is this called? It's called ahara. Right? So your food and thought and breath because we ingest it. So we take it in. So the thought and breath, food, thought, and breath is going to make our Ojas, Tejas, and prana. So when we eat it, the physical portion of the food is going in our the GI tract and it's getting processed. And what in English they call chyle, I know this is not the best example, but that's the best I can come up with. We call ahara rasa in the stomach. So the food is getting all mixed up together, and then now the nutrition is going to start being extracted away. This mixed up, so it's getting prepared so the body can start extracting the nutrients, right? That is called ahara rasa. And Vyanavayu, which is responsible for all kind of movements, let me just write that down. This is total block 2 topic. You're not going to be tested on this. So Vyanavayu is responsible for circulation of nutrients, circulation of blood, or lymphatic system. So Vyana is moving things around. So this ahara rasa, when it's ready, it gets divided into mala and kitta. So a portion of it, which is the waste, is now, thrown into your intestines. Some of the nutrition is being extracted, and the rest is it's being absorbed. So the energy that's absorbing the nutrients and taking in the rakta and rasa dhatu is called the Vyanavayu. So this ahara rasa, now the first dhatu to be produced from this rasa dhatu is rasa dhatu here. Let me write that down. If it gets too much, let me know. So the first dhatu, meaning what happens to what we eat, I'm just talking about the food part, it gets converted into rasa dhatu. Remember, as we're eating, we are also thinking about things. Maybe we are watching TV while we're eating. Maybe we are taking the energy of the person who prepared the food. Maybe we went to a restaurant and someone who prepared the food was in a bad mood. So we're eating that bad mood also. And also the way we are breathing. Breath is where you're eating, your environment. Are you in an office where people don't like you? Are you in a beautiful environment, maybe in a park? How you're eating. All of this you're ingesting, and this is making your mental ojas. Let me write that down. So this is making your mental ojas, and this is the physical ojas. So again, this is block 2 topic. We won't get into it, but there is mental ojas too. So the food is now converted, and the first dhatu to be created, to be nourished, is rasa dhatu. Now, in Western medicine, you have your circulatory system, and then you have the lymphatic system. In Ayurveda, we have plasma and lymphatic system are called the rasa dhatu, and rakta dhatu is the blood, your actual blood. So there's a difference. Again, when we go to block 2, it's covered in so much detail. There's we have 20 hours of archived classes on this. It's covered in detail. So rasa dhatu is the first dhatu to be produced. So when someone has, and then we have secondary dhatus that are produced. And so whatever is left over, so rasa dhatu you can say is nourished first. The second dhatu to be nourished is your blood. And remember, when we say breath is also going along with ahara, so think of the oxygen that is going in the circulatory system. And like this, rasa, rakta, all the 7 dhatus get nourished by the food, thought, and breath that we are eating. 7th dhatu, does anybody know what the 7th dhatu is? Rasa, rakta, mamsa, like this, 7 dhatus are there. Does anyone know? Has anyone read? If you haven't, that's absolutely fine. Rasa being the blood plasma, rakta being the blood, mamsa being muscle, meda is fat, asti is, so like this, there are 7 dhatus. The last dhatu to be nourished would be your reproductive fluids. So look at this. The food that we ate, which was maybe rice, and vegetables fried in here, lentil soup, it got converted with both vayu, and then it has traveled from rasa dhatu, rakta dhatu, mamsa dhatu, like that. It has reached shukra dhatu, and it is now, in the shukra dhatu, it is nourishing the shukra, or the reproductive fluids, or the reproductive system. And the last thing to be produced after shukra dhatu is ojas. So you can see how subtle that is. So let's go back to that food that we ate, the thought, the breath, all of that is also flowing through our dhatus. And I would say along the way, this is being nourished. As we're eating, just like ghee is a subtle essence of milk, ojas is a subtle essence of our ahara. Ahara being the food, thoughts, and breath. So preparing food in an environment which is maybe like doing mantras. Now when Atul is cooking, he will do mantras. He will even have a headset playing mantras while he's washing the dishes, and he doesn't want to talk to anyone because he says that's the only time he gets to do his spiritual practices when he's washing dishes or cooking. And that's an amazing thing, Sometimes I'm auditing classes, other teachers are doing the classes, I have it on my iPad, and I'm cooking and I'm listening to mantras, because in our lives, the lives are so fast. So ghee, if ghee is subtle essence of milk, the container, Ojas is getting nourished, Tejas is getting nourished, Prana is getting nourished by food, thought, and breath that we're eating. I know this is like such a, does it make sense? So if you're eating foods that is Ojas Vriddhi, where Ojas is increased too much. So when you're eating too much food and your body does not have the ability to digest it. So you think of the raw material, so the container cannot contain the material. There's a container, and the container itself is like a bio container. It cannot contain the container, so it starts breaking down. So if the Ojas starts breaking down, Tejas and Prana have nowhere to go. They're homeless. I don't know. It's just, Ayurveda is all about these subtle examples. So this Ojas, that is the subtle essence of the food, thought, and breath, there is a certain amount everybody can digest. So Vata person, you cannot give them, for example, a Vata person, you can give them more ghee and more Ojas increasing foods. But if it's a Kapha person, you have to give smaller amounts because they cannot digest. So what will happen? Yes, I know, homeless Tejas and Prana. Yeah, and what happens is you cannot, a better phrase would be, we cannot let Tejas and Prana escape. On the other hand, if Tejas is increased too much, it kind of overflows. Now it goes in the tissues, and what will it do in the tissues? It starts depleting the tissue, starts burning it down. Or Tejas has become so hot that it is burning away the container itself. I don't know if these are good examples, but this is exactly to do with, again, these are all Block 2 topics. Block 2, we don't really talk about doshas. It's all dhatus. Now, we're assuming that we know how, if the dosha is mildly imbalanced, we know how to correct it. But the dosha, in dosha pathology, dosha is like, it can travel. So if you have pitta which starts going in an opposite direction, for example, sometimes you say pitta goes up or pitta goes down or sideways, or kapha goes up and down, or it's traveling through the dhatus. This is what causes diseases. This is the pathology in Ayurveda. And with that, I will end. And next time, hopefully, some of you are going to be presenting your case studies. I've been receiving a lot of them on Google, and some of you have asked for help, others haven't. But what we'll do is, next time you'll actually be presenting your case studies. So you should have a headset, and we will put your case study up, and you will talk about it and present it to everybody in us. All you need is one case study. That's it. All we were trying to see is, I don't really care about the protocols at this point. I just want to see if you were able to apply the principle of, let's say, so we are using a lot of principles of forms, which, like I said, it gives, it's 1/3 assessment. It's only 33%. Were you able to apply? Were you able to use the forms and questionnaires properly? I know right now all of you are so dependent on that. But more than that, about darshanam, I have had students ask me, can we do an analysis over the phone? Of course not. It has to be in person. All you need is one person for the next week, especially the track A, because it's their last class. And if you're not able to do it, that's fine. I'm happy to do a makeup class or an extra class with you guys, because the case study is the most important takeaway, because it's application of darshanam and sparshanam and prashanam. So if some of you do end up coming for the workshop, we will try to broadcast it on YouTube. Again, no promises. One of our counselor program students is helping us do that. If we do that, we will send you a link. But we will try and record it, and we will try to post the recordings later. So if some of you come, then we will talk about these things as well. So darshanam, how you determined A, B, or C, and how you applied the knowledge that you've got. So for the next week's case study, I'm more interested in the questions that were asked, and the most important, what were the causative factors of whatever issue they might be having within the scope of the course. For example, if your case study is, let's say, a friend or sister or partner or a neighbor, whosoever it is, they're stressed out and they're, or they have IBD or I don't know, whatever it may be. I'm interested in what are the hetus and what are the causative factors, because in Ayurveda, it is the causative factors you're interested in, and all the protocols are determined by the causative factors, the root cause. So, yes. So, and then you have enough time, go back and you can do a follow-up over the phone. How are you feeling? Did anything help? Even if there has been no change and they made absolutely no progress, still we need to do a follow-up. It could be a very short follow-up, even over the phone. And the follow-up you don't need to, share with us. A follow-up can be done later, but just the first time when you meet a person, even if you were not able to determine anything and there were challenges there, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. And if you're already a practitioner of medicine or holistic medicine, then of course, you rely on that knowledge. But in that case, I would say, do not rely on your usual training and try and use your intuition and subtle senses here. Maybe do the mantras. So I think almost everybody has sent one case study. If not, share with me what a person is wearing. The reason, if they are wearing leather or something really tight, I see women coming in and they have abdomen issues and they're constipated and they wear really tight jeans. Do you know what I'm saying? And also, I've had kapha women who are really big and big bust, and they wear very tight bras, and they had having trouble breathing. Now, that's a very simple thing. I'll share one with you. I had one person who came to me. He had a skin allergy, and he tried all kind of creams and everything, and so when he came to me, it was kind of weird. The skin it was just in his neck and face where you would shave, and I basically asked him what he uses. He was using some fancy schmancy shaving gel. Now, I don't know anything about shaving gel, obviously, but I asked him to switch to a natural one, a natural shaving gel, and not use the fancy stuff. And his stuff, his allergy went away. And the reason I kind of wanted to tell him that is because I saw him, he was all dressed up in designer gear, all the designer names. So I kind of guessed that he was using deodorant. I don't know if he was putting that aftershave thing, which was causing it. So yeah, you have to be like a Sherlock Holmes. Really, what are they wearing? How are they walking? Want to give last example is when I get people from different ethnicities. I'm Indian, of course. I get a lot of Persian people, and they will come in groups of, if I once had somebody from LA. This lady, same example as Aparna, and she came in with her husband, her mother-in-law, her sister-in-law, her sister-in-law's husband, and they all came and they all wanted to come in and listen in. And then she'd send me a text message while she was talking to me. Can you please do something and send them away? So I had to tell them, can you, I had to put on music, yes, because she couldn't talk. So we have to, respect that as part of darshanam. And when they were not in the room, she opened up, her face changed. That's another darshanam. Personally, when people are coming to me for a consultation, I do not want them to wear makeup. Ideally, if they color their hair, I want to know their actual hair. I don't want them to have, because I actually check the nails as well. I don't want them to have nail polish. I don't want them to wear perfume. I don't care how they smell, because I need to rely on my senses, and they don't really like it. I say no deodorant, no perfume. Try and wear loose clothes, because sometimes I will touch the marmas. Sometimes I don't because I want to see what they're wearing and so on. Headpieces, okay. All right, that's pretty much it, and we have actually finished our entire course. Everything is now just you asking us questions, completing your case studies, going back. One thing is I have created an